Alright, now this is another machine that I have been hoping to get my hands on for a long while. So this is basically the second generation successor to the UltraActive. The first being the UltraCaptic, which was a very odd but interesting design. Basically, what the UltraCaptic was, is it was kind of a multi-cyclonic version of this. It also had a manual dust compressor, and from what I've read, there was like a second filter tray that needed to be emptied out that the finer cyclones emptied into. If you want to find out more, I would suggest looking towards Vacuum Land. That was where I found most of the information when I was looking a while back on the UltraCaptic, but the UltraCaptic was very, very expensive from what I remember, and I kind of, between the look of it and the price, I avoided it at the time. It wasn't something that I was really looking forward to. Now, this UltraFlex is kind of the streamlined, cheapened down version of it, I guess you could say. So it keeps a pretty similar body, loses the multi-cyclonic and goes back to a single cyclone up in here. Pretty similar to how the UltraActive was, which I love my UltraActive. There are a lot of issues with the platform, but at the end of the day, I do love the machine and I really enjoy working with it. So I figured, why not? Let's give this a try. So, couple big changes. There's an A and B variant of this UltraFlex. Now, I think it was the A variant that was the very early one, and I haven't seen many of those. But basically, the difference is in the wand setup and the handle. So this is a new handle, more towards the style of the Ultra One machines, and you've got the 3-in-1 combi tool. The original machine used the wand and the handle setup from the UltraActive, where you had 3 separate tools, the dusting brush and the crevice tool stored up in the handle. So the other big difference that you get on this machine is the addition of their newest power nozzle. Now this adds in the self-cleaning feature to clean off hair, string, or anything like that that gets wrapped around the brush roll. And really those are some of the biggest differences between this and the UltraActive, besides the obvious difference in styling. Otherwise, performance-wise, it's been pretty similar to the UltraActive. They definitely have improved the efficiency of the cyclone. I don't think you're going to need to wash that filter as much, but it's still single cyclonic, basically, is what I have to say about that. So you're still going to have to do more filter maintenance, but it does a nice job. It's got a higher capacity canister. I'll have to try and get some images in. The first, basically right when we first got this, my mother was having a lot of issues with allergies when I first got it, and so one of the first things that I did with it is pull everything out from under their bed. It hadn't been cleaned under there in quite a while, and the cats like to sleep and hide under there. And the amount of crap that it pulled out and how clean the filter stayed afterwards, considering the bin was actually overfilled, was pretty amazing to me. So, otherwise, it's pretty similar in terms of, it's a pretty quiet, pretty refined machine, feels well made, except for this neck, which is always a problem with these Electrolux power nozzles. I don't know how they haven't fixed this crap yet with the handle release, but that's neither here nor there. So, let's turn her on and get to going. It also has variable suction at the back on this little rotary switch, very similar to the UltraActive, so that is nice. Now, there are a couple different things that I really am not a fan of with this machine. One of them being, it's a lot less maneuverable than the UltraActive was. And any Miele or anything like that, or even some of the other Electrolux canisters, the more traditional ones that are bagged, it's just very kind of annoying in the way it moves. I found myself, when I'm using it, just picking it up by the carry handle on the top and moving it into whatever new position I need it in, which it does have a nice long hose, but it just rubs me the wrong way with how poor the maneuverability is for, I think, what's about a $300 canister, $299. But over a comparable Miele, it does have a power nozzle, and it is bagless, which you won't find in any Miele currently in the US, at least. It does perform well, as you can see, because there's still more of that carpet fresh coming up. So it's very much like the UltraActive. The UltraActive was my go-to for a lot of years for cleaning up capture, because it was one of the best performing machines that I had at that. This power nozzle, while the brush roll clean is nice, there are a couple issues that I have with this as well. One being that swivel neck and the handle release. Now, those have always been weak points on these plastic Lux, even though Eureka's now sold off. Well, Eureka's been sold off from Electrolux. These machines have always had an issue with. But this issue developed a lot sooner than it did on my UltraActive with that older deep clean nozzle. And truth be told, I'd rather have a deep clean nozzle back over this, because I like the nozzle better. The lights are a lot better. Now, you have what looks to be a 5 LED array down there, but the amount of light, because for whatever stupid reason they decided to put it behind a smoked cover, you don't really see much light out of that. The light output out of the deep clean nozzle is a lot brighter. The nice thing is this wand will fit into the deep clean nozzle and work just fine. Those parts are interchangeable, so I have used the deep clean nozzle on this, and I still like that nozzle a lot better. And you can't really see anything. I don't really know why they have that smoked cover there at all, because while you couldn't see the brush roll at all in the deep clean, it was just one solid piece of plastic for the nozzle cover. You can't really see much without good light and being very close on the brush roll in that anyway, so it doesn't make all that much of a difference. One of the other big things that I hate about this machine is the way this handle is designed compared to the UltraActive, or even one of these with the older hose style. The UltraActive actually has the power on off for the power nozzle right pretty much where your thumb rests. While this handle shape is more comfortable, you have to reach all the way down here, and I'll be right back because we're reaching the 10-minute limit, most of this whole thing. So that's not a big issue for me, but most people that are going to buy canisters are going to have more of a mix or more hard flooring. So there are issues here with this that they fixed very few things. This is the best way I can put it. They fixed very few things that the UltraActive had wrong about it, and got a hell of a lot more wrong in the process while redesigning, because it's bulkier, it's harder to work with, and then just the rest of the things that I pointed out. I still prefer my UltraActive, but I do like the fact that there is a relatively well-made bagless canister that actually comes with a power nozzle for under $500, or any relatively well-made canister with a power nozzle under $500. But again, I think the UltraActive is still the better, more rounded machine, and I think that shows for how many years that design stayed on the market before it was finally replaced by this and the UltraCaptic. But all in all, for something that costs $300, is not made in China, is made in Hungary, and comes with a 5-year warranty, I don't think you can really complain all that much. The other thing I'll address, I really thought this was going to be a horrible bare floor nozzle when I saw it online, but it actually performs well. It's been one of the better performing nozzles I've seen. I've been happy with it. It doesn't really need to be cleaned like a version that has set brushes, and it is a lot better than what came on the UltraActives, which those had. It was a pretty generic version that most people have, most manufacturers. It just has 2 wheels on the edges and brushes on either side. This is a lot more effective of a nozzle and gets into a lot lower profile areas. The other thing that I don't like is there were UltraActives at the end of their run that were selling from Walmart for about $200, $250 that included the electric mini hand tool for pet hair. That really should be included. It's like a $60 standalone option. I really think these should have it. They're not well built enough to justify $300 relatively for what they have. I mean, they're okay, but they're not the greatest. So all in all, I am kind of disappointed going from the UltraActive to this, but I'd rather see this machine be out than Electrolux have nothing on the market in this slot, because they're about the only ones that do this, where it's about a step above like a bagless Eureka or Hoover canister that are pretty poor in quality, but not quite into the price range of something like a Miele with a bag, or even their own bagged offerings, which generally tend to seem to be a lot better of a quality and a lot more well-rounded of a machine. But if you have any questions about this machine, just leave a comment below and I'll try and answer them as best as I can.